The unconquerable spirit, of course, this is how it begins. From the cold silence of space, they watched Earth. Blue, green, simple. The alien commanders stood around a shimmering hologram, their gazes sharp and unreadable. One of them tilted, his angular face twisted in a sneer as he looked down at the unassuming little planet. "Another primitive world," he said, voice dripping with contempt. His claws tapped against the metallic console. "It will be over quickly. Let the new recruits have their training here." The others nodded. Earth was just another target, another insignificant species to dominate. Their technology appeared outdated, cities that still use combustion, crude machines of metal and wires, aircraft with wings. They laughed. One officer, Vaughn, chuckled. "They still fly with metal and fuel. How charming." Their supreme commander, Sith, dismissed the incoming reports as meaningless chatter. "The usual," he said, waving them off. "Weak infrastructure, uncoordinated defense systems, primitive communications. Resistance will be minimal." He spoke with the absolute certainty of someone who had conquered a dozen worlds before breakfast. But then came the strange reports. Scout ships encountered unexpected resistance. Humans had engaged them not with strength, but with strategy. Ambushes in dense forests, coordinated attacks in narrow urban alleys, disruptions to their scanners with crude but effective jamming techniques. Sith brushed it off. "Fear makes lesser species bold. They will break soon enough." But they didn't. When the first wave of dropships descended through the clouds, darkening skies over cities and farmlands alike, they expected fear, screams, surrender, chaos. What they found instead were barricades, improvised weapons, traps, hidden in playgrounds and churches, civilians using shattered glass, kitchen knives, and homemade bombs. The aliens had superior firepower, unmatched armor, precision-guided weaponry, and yet the humans wouldn't stop. Reports came flooding in. Alien patrols vanished in the sewers. Drone convoys exploded on minefields. Elite units were picked off by farmers in the dark, using night vision goggles from hunting stores and coordination through shortwave radios. Sith began to frown. Each village they took, they lost twice as many soldiers to reclaim. Each push forward was met with resistance that didn't weaken, but adapted. Humans learned. They studied enemy patterns. They modified tactics between battles. Their weapons were crude but evolving. Every shot they fired had more intent, every retreat was calculated. "They're watching us," whispered one alien analyst. "They're learning from us, changing." Panic started to seep in, not among the civilians of Earth, but among the invaders. This wasn't the cowardice they expected. This wasn't the chaos of a broken species. This was something else. One field commander, after his squad was wiped out in an ambush in a burned-out hospital, said it clearly. "They fight like they've got nothing to lose, like they've already lived through hell." Sith didn't understand. "Why do they keep going? We have bombarded their cities, destroyed their infrastructure, taken their resources, but still they fought." The humans formed resistance cells. Farmers became commanders. School teachers coordinated supply chains. Kids ran messages through war zones like they were playgrounds. And the more the aliens pushed, the more humans adapted, improvised, evolved. Entire cities became traps. Underground tunnels lit with torchlight, sewers turned to barracks. Their cities may have crumbled, but their spirits did not. And that's when it hit them. This wasn't a weak, primitive race. This was a species forged in hardship, a people born of war and struggle and survival. They were used to scarcity, to suffering. They weren't just fighting with guns. They were fighting with everything. The Tatar aliens began to fear the night, not because humans had better weapons, but because when the sun went down, the attacks began, silent, precise, relentless. Human eyes in the darkness, human minds thinking 3 moves ahead. And then came the final realization. You cannot defeat an enemy that thrives in adversity. You cannot conquer a species that refuses to be conquered. Earth was not a battleground. It was a crucible. And humanity? Humanity was the fire inside it. So the aliens, once so sure of their dominance, began to whisper behind closed doors. They looked at the data, at the maps that once glowed with victory, now covered in red zones of resistance. And they understood, too late, this was not a training ground. This was a graveyard. And humanity? Humanity was the reason it was about to be filled. Learning about extraterrestrial assaults on towns and cities prompted immediate reactions from miles away. Distant human resistance groups responded not through commands, but through instinct. The foundation of humanity's organization was trust, friendship, and shared objectives. Instead of enforcing directives, humans fought without a central command. Every soldier was inspired by their own accountability, not by orders from a hierarchy. Foreign leaders were confused by this fortitude, which blurred the lines between people and built an indestructible network. As the aliens tried to analyze more, they found themselves only more perplexed. On all levels, human soldiers displayed resilience and flexibility, recovering more robustly after every battle. Some aliens speculated that trauma strengthened the human brain under pressure rather than weakening it. Findings showed that humans could push themselves far beyond physical limits, an attribute that no alien species, despite advanced technology, could replicate. Human endurance wasn't just physical, it was braided into their character, a trait that made them nearly impossible to conquer by brute force. Adaptability became increasingly obvious as human combatants evolved their strategies after every engagement. With no central authority, they found ways to counter alien technology using tools the invaders deemed archaic. The aliens quickly realized that underestimating human creativity was a fatal mistake. Instead of advanced weaponry, humans used resourcefulness, building traps from nature, sabotaging alien tech with shocking efficiency. Their improvisation exposed a staggering truth. Even without superior arms, humans could fight, adapt, and strike back precisely and unpredictably. Alien ranks began to fracture, confused by this unexpected resistance. Humanity's unity wasn't born of fear or control, but of shared belief. Each fighter stood as a dangerous force in their own right. Some alien commanders began to question their own systems. Why couldn't they inspire such loyalty? Were their values flawed? Facing the indomitable human spirit, what started as a simple invasion turned into an existential crisis. The aliens faced a species unlike any they had encountered. To regain focus, the alien command gathered its full might, determined to end the relentless resistance with one final blow. They deployed their most destructive weapons, devices that had obliterated civilizations before. But as they prepared, intelligence revealed that humanity had anticipated the strike. Humans rapidly adjusted, modifying defenses and fortifying key positions. When the attack began, the aliens faced defenders far more coordinated and resilient than before. Each advance was met with devastating traps and sharp counterattacks, precise, lethal, and executed with the discipline of seasoned warriors. The adaptability of mankind had turned civilians and volunteers into a unified, deadly defense force. They moved with near-automatic synchronization, no longer just surviving but executing a brilliant, calculated resistance. Alien soldiers were pushed back, forced into defensive stances. Frustration boiled within the alien command. Even their most advanced weapons failed against human determination. Tactical superiority was eroded by constant setbacks, and some alien units began retreating under pressure. Human fighters, now intimately aware of alien weaknesses, struck with surgical precision. They knew where to hit, when to exploit openings, and how to corner the enemy. This was a new kind of war. Technology no longer guaranteed dominance. Humans demonstrated terrifying ingenuity, turning every resource into a weapon. Aliens were stunned by the ruthless efficiency of such a primitive species, one that had crafted instinctual battle strategies as though bred for war. A desperate, final push targeted a major human stronghold, intended to crush resistance. But when the assault began, the invaders faced more than just soldiers. Civilians, young, old, entire families stood defiant, forming a unified front that stunned their foes. In alien culture, sacrifice was a warrior's burden. To see everyday people protect their land with unwavering courage, shattered alien assumptions. Humans weren't fighting just for victory. They were fighting for existence, for love, for their future. That made them unstoppable. Watching the battle unfold, an alien commander realized humanity was driven not only by strategy, but by purpose. Their fighters weren't ordered. They chose to stand. They fought not just for themselves, but for something greater. This collective resilience revealed a truth the aliens had missed. Humanity's strength lay in its unbreakable will to protect what it loves. One by one, alien units fell, not to superior weapons, but to the resolve of a united species. As their armies crumbled, the aliens retreated in defeat. Earth remained unconquered. The proud invaders left haunted by failure and filled with respect. They had encountered a force beyond logic or technology, a spirit forged in unity. The alien fleet withdrew, finally understanding humanity was no primitive animal. It was the universe's deadliest warrior, not because of weaponry, but because of the fire in its soul. No device could shatter that. No strategy could match it. And nothing could prepare them for what it truly meant to face humans.